Okay.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. Paul, whatever. There's some new people here, so let's just be clear about just the definition of non-duality. I could be unclear, who knows, but just looking up in a dictionary, non means not, and then there's two, duality. So the interesting thing, well, the not is pretty obvious. It's a negation of what comes after it. So not good means you're not feeling well. So not is a negation of what comes after it, which in this case is duality. So a lot of people come to a non-duality meeting. I don't, it's impossible to have one really. But let's say they come to hear about the topic of non-duality. When really you come here to hear about the topic of duality. So we need to talk about what is negated. Yeah, we don't need to affirm what is, but there needs to be a negation of what ain't, because what ain't is taken to be what is. It's just that simple. Yeah. So if you try to go to what is without questioning what ain't, it may be what ain't. Let's say Paul trying to get non-duality, which is the frustration of most people. So Paul hears non-duality, doesn't realize that Paul is a dualistic expression, which is being negated by the statement of non-duality. That gets overridden, and now that which is negated wants to affirm non-duality. In other words, wants to get non-duality, understand non-duality, arrive at non-duality, stabilize in non-duality. All of these hopes and wishes, which are defined from duality. Yeah. What would be one of the wet dreams of duality, of this agitation of things come and go, they change, would be stabilization. If it only could stabilize, oh, it would be wonderful. So I had the experience, but then it seemed to drift away. And then, and I've just been trying to make it stabilize as if you made it come in the first place. Yeah, which is all how thinking is thought about from duality, basically. So what non-duality is a negation of duality. If you want to bring it closer to the event of Paul here, it would be dualism, yeah? A shifting sand of subject-objectness. Neither of them, yeah? There's an assumed subject and an assumed object going back and forth. Sometimes you're thought about as an object, sometimes you believe you're the thinker, which would make you the subject. That's what's being negated, yeah? So how can you use that which is being negated by non-duality to arrive at non-duality? It just doesn't make any sense, yeah? So the dilemma basically comes to, there's an act of being identified. It's not you in the act of being identified. There's a constant act of being identified as a you in the mental processes, yeah? So if you go into the memories picture you as a body. They picture you as the one who flew to Hawaii and is in Hawaii and is going to leave Hawaii. So now you're the doer of the vacation. It believes you're the thinker, the feeler, the seer, the taster, the toucher, and you have evidence. There I was in Hawaii. There I was when I was growing up. And then it also projects that figure into a future, and because the future, there aren't any really like concrete snapshots. There's a lot of anxiety of what kind of picture I'll be in the future. And so there's angst. The mental state has angst, and it attempts to control and manipulate and manage so that you, as this image, will be in a good condition, because it doesn't have a picture of the future. It forecasts a lot of pictures. It believes these things are going to happen, but it doesn't have the assurance it comes up with when it comes back to memory. Yeah. So there's an act of being identified, by the mental state that we're paying a lot of attention to. We're not. There's a paying a lot of attention to and a lot of interest in it. Yeah? So the interest and attention to that story, it's almost as if there's a huge screen, and when there's a lot of interest and attention to this story, that is taking up most of the screen. Yeah? So basically, your view is like completely self-centeredness. Everything is being interpreted of how it pertains to you as this big image in the screen. And maybe truth and space and emptiness is just a tiny little conceptual idea. What this message affects is the size of you on the screen. It shrinks because it takes the attention and interest away of all that reinforces the idea of you, because you lose interest by being curious that it may not be you. Yeah? And then you hit pay dirt, and interest and attention moves. You don't move it. Interest and attention moves from this self-centered story, and therefore it shrinks and it ends up in a little corner, and now there's a huge screen of possibilities. Yeah? Lots of cameo appearances, a lot of things catching your attention. It's just, there's still that little movie going on, and in the movie going on, it thinks it's the only movie going on. It does. And I've realized that there's no point trying to convince that it's the largeness of the screen. You might as well just see you're not that, and then find out what you are, because you're not going to find out what you are from that. You're not. You're not going to experience what you are from what you're not. You can try it a long, long fucking period of time. You can blame the teachers, blame you, blame, the meditation pillow, blame the dog that was barking at the retreat, blame whatever you want to blame. But in fact, it's an impossibility that what you're not is going to arrive at what you are, because in fact, there is no what you're not yet. And there was no departing from what you are. Yeah? So there's no need to arrive at where you already are. You just have to become clear about the activities of what you're not. Because what you're not is adding all these miles and all this distance and all this time to this equation that's completely bogus. It's a bogus mathematics, because the whole mathematics is based on the premise of the primary number is 1, when really the mathematics of this event is 0. That's the primary number, nothing. Yeah? So we just share warnings really about the stubbornness of the mental state, and it based on its modus operandi, which is the claim. Yeah? So believe it or not, whatever it is brought into contact with through us, yeah, it claims. Yeah? And it attempts to use whatever it came into contact with to imply, to assume, to reinforce its narrative, its story, which is that you're a long-lasting, independent, separate thing that has all these subjective attributes. You're seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, thinking, all this, but as an object. Yeah? That's the epitome of duality. And that's all that non-duality is negating, that activity. Yeah? It's not even negating the activity, it's negating the assumption that is derived from listening to that activity, which is that you're a thing. That's all. That you're this long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Yeah. So, first be clear, that first movement is the act of claiming. Like a famous Buddhist teacher, Trungpa Rinpoche, he had a famous book called, I think, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. And the first page, he uses the word ego, which I don't like, but he said, ego, just know this, that ego is going to take advantage of everything it comes in contact with. That's the nature of this mental activity, yeah, of claiming. Yeah. And how it disguises everything is through time. So basically, there's seeing. It claims to be the seeing and turns it into the seer. So the seer is produced by claiming the seeing, and then suddenly the seer is presupposed before the seeing and now becomes the doer of the seeing. Yeah? That's not its one little leapfrog. It does it all the time. So life is happening, and then there's a claiming of that to imply there's one that life is happening to. Yeah, that's all. See if it's true or not. If it isn't true, if Huang Po, a great Zen master, was correct when he said whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving, if he was true, then he just denied or negated the whole narrative we live under all day. Because obviously the narrative in one's head is assuming the perceived, the object called Paul, is what's perceiving. It is, yeah? So you don't have to go into all the minutiae, just look at the basis, yeah? I'm listening and seem to be directed quite a lot by a narrative that has a premise that what's perceiving is an object that can be perceived by others and by that which is perceiving. Huang Po says very clearly, whatever can be perceived, which is this, cannot be perceiving. Yeah? Maybe you agree with the narrative, then far out. I agree with Huang Po. I don't know. It just made sense because when I heard it, it felt I already had the information. I just needed the right key. Once the key was turned, the information all fell into place, and I had a realization, I'm not that. Yeah. And it became like the last answer. It was an amazing thing, because usually in my history, you run into an answer, and then it gets to be lacking after a month or two, or it needs more maintenance, or I gotta inject some extreme radicalness in it, or somehow I'm going to combine it with something else. You know what I mean? I'll synthesize it with some other path and get a super path, and so on and so forth. But in a sense, when I heard this message, it became the last answer. Yeah? It negated any need for any other answer concerning this topic, which is a fucking great answer. Yeah? It was the last answer because it took the necessity or the need for any other answer away. I've never run into anything like that. So, yeah. So, I went to other talks when I was younger, and a lot of people, rightfully or wrongfully, would describe the indescribable. They would try to tell me what I was, yeah? Like, all you are is consciousness. All you are is love, let's say. All you are is emptiness. And it sounded great, but I didn't realize until I did that what I wasn't was claiming to be the hearer of those messages. And I realized it doesn't go anywhere trying to convince what you're not about what you are. It doesn't. Because it has a stubborn programming that it already has a huge belief about what it is, which is what you're not. Yeah? And I don't think you got enough time to fucking convince it, really. I just don't see it. So this is a switcheroo. We don't talk to you about what you are. We hopefully talk through you to what you are. Yeah? You see the difference? It's completely different. We're not sitting here and describing what we are to you or what I am to you. I am describing what we're not through you, hopefully hitting what you are. And I can't miss because it's not located anywhere, and its ability to hear isn't based on circumstances or situations. Yeah, it's always, I can't miss. I can throw it this way, I can throw it over my head, I don't have to look. Because I know I have great faith in landing. All I need to do is just keep yapping enough to get through your defenses. And I know you only have like 4 arms with 4 mitts that can catch. I can make I can throw a fifth ball in your little juggling routine and it throws the whole fucking thing off. Yeah? And then suddenly all the balls drop and you see your own devices and you realize they're not your devices. Hallelujah. Yeah? So, people would always complain to me, not to me directly, to other people about me, which is, hey, this guy, everything he says is going over my head. That's the fucking point. I don't want you to understand non-duality. I don't. I want you to understand duality. That's what I want. I don't want you to understand non-duality. Understanding non-duality is a product of duality. Didn't you understand that? Now people use an understanding of non-duality to travel lighter. Fantastic, but that's not non-duality. That's an understanding of non-duality. It's different, yes? So basically the direction is important because you'll see the effects. If you talk about some of the aspects of what is talked about in satsang to what you're not, see what happens. How about the word awakening? What has that done to us as action figures? Yeah, did it lead to any good? Probably not. I feel so many people would have been better if they never heard the word awakening. Yeah? Because their head has made it into something. Another form of beating themselves up by judging where they are on the scale of awakening. Yeah? And then enlightenment is even worse. Because people look around, they say, I can't believe that motherfucker's enlightened. I can't. I didn't see him at the earliest talks of some fucking person. I'm the only living person that actually saw Ramana alive. Whatever, So it would have been better off. So you don't need thousands of examples. When what you're not hears about something that seems to be a pointer about what you are, what does it do? It uses it to stir up more agitation. Yeah? You would have been better off if you never heard of it, really. You know how many people I've seen? This is one of the worst ones. They thought they were awake and now they've lost it. Oh, that's unbelievable. That's like a new guilt and shame. I fucked a lot of people over when I was out there. But I mean, could you imagine if you had a spiritual leaning and then you believed you were awake as if you did something, and then you find yourself not awake and the only narrative you can listen to is you did something to cause yourself not to be awake? Fuck. What a field day for the head, yeah? I had it when I was young. The first introduction to spirituality, other than Catholicism, I met a guru. I met a group. I didn't meet the guru till later. I met a group and they taught meditation and I got initiated and I started meditating every day. And then the guru came later. And I ran into a big problem because the guru was presented as the Lord of the universe. And I didn't like the Lord of the universe. Oh, it was unbelievable. I couldn't take a shit or get off the pot because I'd want to leave, but then my head would go, who would leave the Lord of the universe? And for 5 years I had this, it produced, the most angst I've ever had was a spiritual topic, really. I mean, I was just crucifying what I'm not all day. How can you not love the Lord of the universe? Yeah? So this is what happens. And there's a distinct, you can recognize it. You can recognize when what you're not has claimed to be the hearer of the message. You can. When that message, which is non-duality, starts becoming a path to you. That's a perfect indication that something has claimed the message of non-duality. Because my experience with non-duality, the message, it's very disarming. It's not a call to arms. It's very disarming. It allows you to sit with your own devices instead of them working and moving and grabbing and letting go and moving on, just to have them moving without any fucking else and then to see what you're not. Yeah. So, yeah. All right, Mike. Release the Krakens.
Okay, first, I need to check with a couple people. I need to show Kevin and Gisela and Galaxy to speak up or show their video, or I've got to boot them. I've been trying by chat to get a hold of you guys, so maybe it's not turned off. So okay, I'm gonna have to boot them unless they.
Yeah, I'm in.
Oops, who was that?
I just heard them. I think you should boot him, bro.
Okay, it looks like Kevin already dropped out.
What's that? Boot him.
What do you need?
Boot him.
Removing Gisela, and that left Galaxy. Galaxy, I'm removing you.
All right?
Okay.
Galaxy should have been a giveaway.
They replied by chat though, and then they didn't continue to reply. So.
All right, well.
So, yeah, that was it. Oh, and Keith has his hand up. I forgot about that part of the job.
Yeah. Yariv, how are you, Yariv? And Chris and the Voids, nice to see you. Dan, you're looking comfortable over there. Where's Keith?
Right here.
All right, Keith, where are you? Oh, go ahead, I can
Right
hear
here,
you.
man. I think I had a question, which I guess I kind of wanted to share slash ask a question. Well, I've been dealing with anxiety and depression for 15, 20 years. And obviously it brought me towards a spiritual path and searching a long time ago. And I got into Douglas Harding, The Headless Way, about 10 or 12 years ago. And then I luckily found you about 5 or 6 years ago, and I've been dealing, and I've loved it. It's resonated a lot with me, and but for the past 5 or 6 years, I noticed I've just been traveling with like an understanding of non-duality, and about a year ago, the aperture, as it were, just kind of exploded open for a little while, and it was awesome, but it's since then, of course you've dealt with that feeling of losing it, and oh no, I've lost it, what did I do, all that bullshit. And I just I don't know, I feel kind of stuck, and especially the past like couple months, 2 or 3 months, like this. And I haven't had to I've been taking medication and stuff for this for the longest time, and it's been great. But for the past 3 months or so, the depression, since having that aperture open and closed, the depression it just plummeted so far down. And then I've had to do some adjustments, and I don't know if that's a function of, like you talked about before, the head going, busting out the big guns, fucking load them up, fucking nuke that shit. And since adjusting my medication and everything, it's obviously it's been better. And then the aperture just the past couple of weeks has been, it's opened up, and it's given me some space, and it's awesome. And I don't know, I just kind of wanted to share, and maybe obviously there's some concern about whether or not I could get some advice on maybe getting some.
Keith, why don't you get my number from Mike?
Okay.
My phone number, and call me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's yeah. But that thing is, if That comes from observation. A lot of people, let's say the aperture, what we're speaking of is there's a familiarity with how much of the scene is being caught, yeah? Like a frame almost. And then sometimes that frame opens up, yeah, and then more gets revealed. Maybe it's more nothing, whatever. But yeah, it's just, and the habit of the mental state is to adapt to whatever is the situation. So you think, well, that was it. You know, when you're in the little box, that's all it is. There is. But then it blows up. And then usually there's let's say a rebound, yeah, from the system itself, the mental system, where they bring out the big guns and stuff, yeah. And so I've observed it and heard it over the years from so many people. I would believe it's a strong probability. So the system gets whacked, and it's that which it wants to hide the most gets revealed. It's sort of non-existence in a way, yeah. Of course, it's going to try to cover up that big gaping hole and have a lot of explosions and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's on, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we'll talk about it, Keith. Yeah. And remember, you're a lifetime member of Zen Bitch Slap, and we do have
Betcha.
quote unquote therapeutic services for action figures. Yeah.
I can dig it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
All right.
this is where, see, you don't travel lighter in what you are. That's light, yeah? You travel lighter as what you're not. That's the point, in a sense, yeah? There's no value in awareness as awareness. There's value of awareness where it can seem not to be dominant, yeah?
Yeah.
This is the message's value is here in the dreaming. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've really seen that it's like it's just so clear at these times when that aperture opens and the expanse and the feeling of and knowing and seeing that none of this is me, you know, the robber or the thief and the policeman.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's like you talk about that the habit of the mind or whatever, the focus, it goes right back into, you know, whatever's dominant with the anxiety or depression or whatever's going on.
For sure. Or you'll have like extreme physical pain because these are its verifications. Yeah. It's attempting to convince itself in a way that it's real. And so it believes if it can have effects, then it must be a real cause. Yeah. So then that's what happens. I remember I used to do the talks younger. Whatever was going on in my body that wasn't good, let's say, yeah, it would be amplified after the talk. Every time would be amplified. I'd feel worse than I did physically or something like that. It doesn't do it now, but it did in the beginning. Yeah? And I could see that always people have a big eruption after an aperture opening. They don't, but there's an eruption from the system. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like trying to cover that aperture with ash, so it has a big explosion. Tries to divert attention to reinforce the bondage. Yeah. Why wouldn't it, if it has a parasitical nature, so to speak? It can't light the show without your light. Yeah. You're essential. See, it isn't essential to us, but to it, we're essential. Yeah? It needs us. It needs our light. It needs the juice to you know, it's sort of like the moon. Every night can masquerade and tell a story that it's the sun. And therefore, it never wants you to be there at the dawn, because the dawn is going to reveal that it wasn't the sun. It was reflecting sun. Yeah? That's the last thing it fucking wants to know, or wants anyone to know, when it's taking the moon as the source of the light. Yeah? Of course. People act surprised. They think that, I remember there was a big run of awakenings years ago. And then people would call you a couple months later and said, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this because all this shit hit the fan and shit like that. They were expecting, like, magically, everything is just going to be great from now on. See, the magical thinking continues. It forecasts what it has no idea of, Most people believe if they woke up, then everything would be great as Paul. That Paul would have no blind sides. It would be totally blissed out all day. He'd have to have attendees because he wouldn't even go to dinner when they yelled Paul. He'd just be in a blissful state 24/7. I don't know. I don't think it works that way. Yeah, all you see is what you're not, and then what you're not continues with the story that it's you. Yeah? But thank God there's a lack of interest in it, and you travel lighter through this little event. Yeah? As Keith. Yeah? That's all. Yeah, call me, bro. It's all right.
Will do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Keith. Dan H, or your friend from the northern fork of Long Island.
Who's it?
His name's Dan.
Dan. Oh yeah, Dan from Long Island.
Yeah. How you doing, Paul?
I don't even have to see you to know you're from Long Island. I can hear the accent.
I don't think I got the accent too bad, but I probably do.
I know you don't think, but yeah. Don't worry, you have it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Shit. I was hoping if you could run through the thing about the thief and the cop. I believe I have a handle on it. I have a friend who's here for the first time. I'd like him to hear it. And I kind of am not sure how many iterations of the cop you could go through. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if you could just run that one by me one time, I'd very much appreciate it.
All right. I wish I had there's a paragraph in a book about Ramana Maharshi's teachings. And there would always be this idea in all the ones I looked into of his teachings. Other people wrote them, but there would be some commonality in all of them. And this one statement would usually be prefaced as the problem, the greatest mystery. So it was given a lot of emphasis. And it started at like this. There's a presupposing of a non-existent thing. Now, what is being presupposed of that non-existent thing? That it's existing, yes? Yes, are you there, Dan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so the presupposing of a non-existent thing. So, in other words, the non-existent thing is given a sense of existence, yeah? It's credited, in other words, it's the living force. It's not being lived through. Yeah.
Right.
So the presupposing of a non-existent thing, and then that non-existent thing wanting to get salvation for itself. You follow it?
Yep.
Yeah. Says if this is the case, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing as being existent. You have to get this. It's very important. It's very clear, right? So what we talk about the claiming, yeah? So the mental state will claim whatever you come in contact with. So let's say, quote unquote, you come in contact with a spiritual practice, yeah? All the while that you're thinking you're the one doing the spiritual practice, that non-existent thing that's been lent this reality of being the one who's existing, yeah,
Yes.
is claiming to be the one who's doing the spiritual practices. Therefore, the spiritual practices are being used to reinforce the non-existent thing. You get it? You see it?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So here you go. So then I lost the page. I don't have it anymore. He gets into the idea that, all right, so now in the beginning, when you start understanding this, you see the activity of selfing, implying a self, yes?
Right.
You see it. So now you see the thief. Self is what's stealing my life from me. Self is what's caused me not to be able to have a viable relationship with another person. Self, whatever, yes? So now you've recognized the thief that's stealing a lot from you out of your life, yeah? So there's a recognition. So the seeing of the thief has also been claimed by the mental process, and now is going to reinforce the non-existent thing, and now the non-existent thing, which has been caught and is seen to be the thief, is also presented as the policeman who saw the thief. Yeah?
Right.
You see it?
Right.
So here's something going on without us knowing it. Then we become aware of something. And let's say we call it self, and we feel like self is what has defeated us. And we think, all right, I've recognized the thief. You don't realize the thief and the policeman are the products of the same claiming of whatever is come into contact with, yeah, by the mental activity, yeah. So the seeing of the self or the seeing of the thief, yeah, the seeing is valid. The seeing was claimed, and it was used to imply the policeman saw the thief, but both of them are the non-existent thing. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's it. And you wonder why, how many cop uniforms are you going to have to run into? I'm telling you something, it may not be many, or it could be more, because there's a point where mind gets it, big mind, yeah? Mind doesn't have to go through 1,000 examples. It can see the whole principle in 5 examples. Yes?
Okay, cool.
This is the power. I'm not talking about the mental process. I'm talking about mind. Mind. Mind is always able. It's sort of like the old statement I think Rumi used to say, or Haifiz, or one of those guys. You know, at a certain point, you can see the whole ocean in one drop of water. Yes?
Yeah, man.
You don't have to have a collection of drops of water until you hit 800,000 drops and then bam-o, oh, maybe they're the ocean. No, it can be one drop. Informs you of the whole ocean. You see?
Cool, man.
This is the power of us. Yeah? It doesn't have to be, it isn't, all right, I've got to be vigilant and make sure I catch it every time. No, you don't. You catch it, and then there's no need to catch it anymore. It's been seen through, yes? Because it's mechanical. So the seeing of a certain aspect of the mental state has now been called self. That seeing has been claimed and has been used to imply another self. Just like we have in recovery. One of the most profound statements of recovery isn't in the big book of recovery. It's a collective observation by tons of people practicing recovery, which is self can't get out of self. Yeah? So,
You know, I never heard that until you said it. Like, I never heard that in an East Coast meeting, like a Long Island.
yeah, oh, well, we have it in the West. So self can't get out of self.
Yeah.
It explains everything. See? Most people's whole journey is Paul trying to get out of self. They don't recognize that Paul is identification as self. Yeah? Given an emblem, given a name, giving a name tag. The name tag doesn't change self or selfing into Paul. It doesn't. Yeah? Because selfing is an activity that's derived from claiming whatever's happening, which is living, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, thinking, doing. All of that activity is being claimed to imply the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the taster, all that. That's the bondage of self. And the bondage of self is a dualistic expression. So you have the self that is seen as an object, and you also see the self that's assuming it to be the subject. Yes?
Yeah, man.
You're neither. That's that.
Thanks.
See, if you believe there's one thing called self in duality, you've missed the whole understanding of duality. Duality is subject and object. Yeah? What happens is when selfing is completely subject, you have no fucking clue. None. What's art? You call it you all day. You live a whole life thinking it's you. Yeah? Then suddenly maybe you have a whack or you have a traumatic event sometimes or a fucking epiphany or something, and then the aperture either has moved and caught something that was unseen, which is the selfing to a certain extent. So now you see self. Yes? Wow. And then suddenly the self, now you you finally see it in its dualistic expression. All right, once it gets objectified, it claims the seeing of that as it also, yeah? So now you've caught the subjective and the objective. That's non-duality. That's not two. You're not the policeman nor the thief. That's the essence of duality. That's it. That's what non-duality is. It's a negation of both. Yeah?
Yeah, man.
But see, unless the first one comes out of the weeds, you'll never get to the second. I just don't see it. Unless there's a huge amount of grace and you just go from a normal day to a life-threatening event, maybe you could skip over that. But in most cases I've watched, people need to recognize the one aspect of selfing for the other one to become obvious. Yes?
Yeah, man.
Unfortunately, a lot of what happens in spirituality is you recognize the one aspect of self, and now you think you know the problem, but you're knowing the problem from the problem. And that's why it's not producing what you had a hope for, like traveling lighter. I have an understanding, but it's not translating. Yes, because your understanding is partial. Yeah?
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good one.
That's to all the people in Long Island who put me in jail. Dan, I'm using you as a symbolic
Hey,
collective Long Islander.
hey, we abolished our police force out in Greenport, man.
Oh, you did? Great.
They actually got rid of the police force. Yeah, man. Is that rotten? Yeah.
Well, I only missed it by about 50 years, 40 years.
No.
Shit. Rockland Center had its own police force.
Yeah.
Where I lived, it was incredible. They had a CPU unit, crime prevention unit, that drove around in unmarked cars, harassing all of us. Yeah.
And you
Thanks,
didn't
man.
deserve it.
What?
And you didn't deserve it at all. I mean, you were
Oh,
just
no.
innocent little angels.
It was medicine to me. I would do anything to get out of self. I was willing to pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel like self today. I would, and I did. I didn't realize that which was trying to get out of self was self. I didn't know that there was a pre-failing of all of my fucking expeditions to escape. I was trying to get out of me as me. That was a fundamental, that was such an incredible, that was unbelievable when I was convinced of that. That was incredible. I realized the complete futility of trying to use me to get out of me. Just unbelievable, completely. And it's never come up for debate or review or rehab. That's not going to get rehabilitated. It's just, it's a clarity that brings about so much space, man. Yeah.
Cool, man.
You know,
Thanks,
why
man.
we're always thinking about it and trying to figure it out is premised on the idea that we can get it. Yeah? You can see so many movements I run into all day when I'm with people, and all those movements are coming from a fundamental mistake, which is I can get it. If only I, if only I, if only I, yeah? The beautiful news of non-duality is you're never going to get it. That's the beauty of it, yeah? Hopefully the machinery can, like the mechanical hands can keep moving for a while, but your hands have come out, yes? You're not being fooled by the mechanical hands anymore. They're going to keep trying to grab the prize, yeah? No matter how many failures, they can't, the programming cannot get this. If you try to get out of self and it fails, let's say with drugs, you'll pull back and then you'll get in a different vehicle, spirituality, and you'll try to get out of self through spirituality. Then that will back up and then making money or whatever, or sex. The thing doesn't get it. Self, the mental programming does not get self, can't get out of self, because the one aspect of itself, it keeps calling you, Paul, and Paul should be able to get out of self. If Paul is not self, why can't he get out of it? Because Paul is self, that's why. What you are was never in it. That's the solution. The solution is there's no solution. That's the solution. Yeah? If you don't hear it here or get it in another way, life's going to teach you it anyway. You can just save yourself some fucking time and trouble. Why do we keep exempting ourselves when we hear a description of a failure of some kind of seeking or path? We keep thinking, well, it's not me. When I'm on it, it'll all work. No, it won't. Yeah? When you're obsessed with self, you can't learn from others. And others are an incredible invitation to learn. Yeah? I'll tell you a little story. It's not for you, Dan. It's just riffing. I used this a lot because it was a big little moment in my life. I had this subscription for a Buddhist magazine called Tricycle. Beautiful magazine. Very nice articles and shit. And I'd get it once a month. And this one month they had a famous Western meditation teacher wrote it like an op-ed, and he was talking about this phenomena he was having with a lot of his old-time students, and they were getting in touch with him saying, hey, I've been practicing this for 25 years and nothing's really happened. When I read that, I just pulled the emergency brake and got off the bus. I said, fuck that. I mean, I haven't meditated 25 years, and I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to get off the bus and start hitchhiking, because this ain't taking me anywhere. Yeah? That's the beauty of the message. Failure is a great success. When you fail at trying to get this message, that's the success of it. Yeah? You can't get what you are. You can only be what you are. And you are being it now. You can't get what you are. There's only one possibility concerning what you are, and that's being it. Yeah? Like it or not, that's the fact. Yeah? It doesn't matter if there's a denial of the fact, it's a fact. I denied I was a drug addict and alcoholic. It didn't change the fact that I was a drug addict and alcoholic.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've had to do all this
They're coming in, Mike.
No, it's just Carrie. Sometimes the microphones go back on on some devices. That was just Carrie.
You're doing a great job, bro.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Dan. Stephen is up next.
Muted.
There's
Hello.
Zoe.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Paul. So I guess there's a couple things. If you to talk about how we talk about in the big book, having faith in the infinite, and you speak about how to have faith in the infinite is to not have faith in the finite. And that's obviously what you've been saying, but just in another way. And also, I hope that if you listened, or if other people, that song "Private Thoughts," I hope that if you listened, you enjoyed it, and other people enjoyed it.
What was that about? I didn't hear that last part.
He's the one with Nick. You're with Nick, right?
Oh, great. Oh, yeah, I love that. I love that song.
Definitely.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. That's fantastic. I was trying to listen to it before this, but
Yeah.
yeah.
We Nick and I are just just super inspired, obviously, and thanks for letting us use that. And yeah, we're working on some more stuff, so we'll send it over to Mike when it's done.
Yeah, use anything, man. Don't worry about it. It came out beautiful.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I really love it. I do. It's the whole website is I just love it. Yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you. And what were we talking about?
Faith in the
Faith, yeah.
infinite.
You know, this is just my riffing in it. I believe faith is a force of mind, big mind. Yeah. I mean, it makes total sense that for dreaming to be real, there must be faith in the dreaming. Yeah. For dreaming to appear to be real when it's not, there must be faith in the dreaming. So I believe faith manifests in the vehicle it's put in. And so the idea in AA, they say in recovery, they say perhaps there's a better way, trusting something infinite rather than finite self. Yeah? All right, that makes sense. But let's say you're not aware that you're identified as finite self. Yeah? There's already a huge faith in finite self by being identified as it. If you start from there and try to have faith in the infinite, it falls into that same category we just stated with the presupposing of a non-existent thing. If that's the case, your spiritual practices are reinforcing the non-existent thing. If you don't see the identification as that which there's plenty of faith in, which is the finite self, you're going to try to have faith in the infinite, which is actually just more faith in the finite self. You see it? It's such a bogus move, but it repeats this move thousands of times. That's why in recovery, it talks about, because recovery in the 12 steps is a linear program in the action figure world. And it has, in this one statement on page 60-something, 63, it says first, which means that's primary importance, you got to quit playing God. Second, next, the thing is about turning your will and life over to the care of higher power, which is trusting the infinite. You can't trust the infinite from the finite self. That would be faith in the finite self. You see it? We're not seeing that. A lot of people aren't seeing it. They're turning around, having faith in the infinite, and they're giving it the attributes of the finite self. It becomes a transactional God. Yeah? It mimics, it mirrors exactly the God you're living under, the selfing God. Yeah? I didn't see it till I saw it. That's one of the whole points about sharing. Yeah? The aperture can catch a lot of shit that we're not knowing. It can open up and you can see things clearly. And then you'll recognize exactly what that means when, oh, innocently you try to turn and have faith in the infinite, not realizing it's reinforcing the faith in the finite. Yeah? And that's happening all day with everything. Yes? It doesn't mean is it taking hold? That's a different story, but it's happening. The mechanicalness of selfing is doing its thing. Yeah? Now if it has complete weight, it's no, it's all right, honey. If it has a lot of weight in it, we've complied, yes? We've gone along with it. It's now using our light to reflect its story. If we lose interest in it, yeah, our attention goes to the infinite, we see it for what it is, which is an activity. Selfing. We try to use that term in a broad way. Selfing. Yeah? Selfing is the act of being identified as self. Yeah? And so when people call me and they go, oh, I really understand the idea of selfing. I've been doing it all day. No, you didn't understand the idea of selfing. Because you're now speaking as if you're the self that was doing it all day. That's what's meant to be pointed out. Yeah? You're not that product of selfing. You're not the one doing the selfing, nor are you the one done to by the selfing. Yeah? What's destroyed you can never be destroyed. Self is destroying self. As someone said here the other day, Jacob, I liked it very much. Self is really destroying self. But we're identified as self, so we're thinking we're being destroyed. We've been untouched. Yeah? As the Course in Miracles would say in I don't know what number lesson, your attack thoughts are attacking your invulnerability. You've never been destroyed, nor will you ever be destroyed. And you're not being destroyed now. Yeah? We're going from one character to the other of the puppet show. You know, Punch hits Judy, Judy bitches about Punch. Yeah? Judy punches, Punch, you know, bitches about Judy. We're neither of them. We're neither the policeman or the thief. That's the whole message of non-duality. It's not to know what self is. It's to see the dualistic nature of everything. Yeah?
Yeah. I understand when I was first listening to you when you were talking about attention and interest, now I see that as such a big part of understanding what we're talking about, the attention and interest being redirected. And it's I understand that now, and it makes a lot of sense. And I believe, yeah, I am that. So thank you for everything, Paul.
Yes,
And,
the attention and interest with this vague little nonchalant placing of my before it becomes a defender of the failed system. You'll forget a miracle in a half an hour, and you'll be paying tons of attention to a resentment of 40 years. You've got to see something's off there. Yeah.
yeah.
I never talked about my interest in attention. Interest in attention has been redirected. Trying with my interest in attention to redirect interest in attention is the same old fucking direction. Yeah. Now, interest and attention concerning my has value. My interest and attention is used to reinforce the slavery of what's not happening. It does. It is really. It's like the duality of the Course in Miracles. Firm in faith in what we're not is the active denial of what we are. That's it. Yeah, that's duality. Yeah. Everyone wants to rush into oneness with no understanding of two-ness. Two-ness can't fit into oneness. It's too fucking big. Yeah. So let's understand what we're not. You will see. Oh man. Well, all right. Thanks, bro. Thank you so much for the music.
Oh,
Say
love you,
thanks,
brother.
Nick. Keep on. Yeah. We'll create a concept album. We'll put the whole fucking thing on there.
We're
I
working
got
on
an idea. We should talk. I got an idea about a project I want to do.
Yeah, man. We're so up for that, man.
Yeah.
It's just the beginning, so we'll keep flowing.
Yeah, all I gotta do when I sing some of the ballads, or
Ah!
I gotta change the names of the people. They'll recognize it when the ballad is sung.
Oh, we also put up videos. We have videos on. If you type in YouTube "Hold Hands with Us,"
Yeah.
there's other videos. We put up a private thoughts video of us playing. So yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, we'll check it out, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Paul.
much.
See you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks much, Stephen.
Hey,
Juna.
we're gonna end soon, eh, Mike?
Okay, only one more hand. Juna.
All right, let's do that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to share something. I have a tremendous amount of fear in the body, and it occurred to me when you said the self can't get out of self. I think it feels like a struggle because of that. It's the self trying to. The seeker says this is the fear that I have to conquer or something,
Yes.
and sometimes the seeker is offline. Then it doesn't feel like a problem, but it just feels like a struggle.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Most stuff can always be captured by the statement self can't get out of self. But that message isn't to the idea of self, it's to what we are. So we can see the futility of what we're not, yeah? Because what we're not's not going to see it. It's going to keep on keeping on, yeah?
Yeah.
You know, in recovery, there's an event in some people's life where it's called a bottom. Because no matter how bad it was got, there was still this outside observer, as if I was playing a person getting hit over the head by the baton, the cop's baton. There was a certain there, and yet when this one moment came and all of what I thought I was got caught in the fucking, like someone putting over when you put a glass over a fly on a window, there was no observing that I was fucked. It was fucked, the whole thing. And then at that moment, my life changed. It was incredible. It was incredible. There was no observer of it. All of what I thought I was, the thief and the policeman, they were all under the same fucking thing.
Yeah, because what's been happening is that it has been difficult to let go of the idea that I'm never gonna get it, to let it in that I'm not gonna get it, because there's this monitoring, this small mind is monitoring what's going on in the body as if it has a role to play in it.
Yes.
But it doesn't, and I don't know if that even can be done. I mean,
Well, the point is, I found, I had in life, I got run over by a car twice, and I had a lot of physical pain. I still do from it 38 years later, but I had a lot of physical pain, and that's one of the things that gives me the spirit of when I say traveling lighter. I couldn't change my circumstances. I was completely powerlessness. I was on my back for 10 months. people, I couldn't go to the bathroom myself, nothing. This may not absolve you of all contact with unfortunate contracting experiences and conditions, but you will travel lighter through it. And sometimes, what more do you want? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come back, bro. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
And after the meeting, there's people here, and a lot of people may be going through or have gone through what you're going through.
Yeah.
And maybe you can have some fellowship at least and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Juna. And do you want to take one more for somebody that just figured out how to raise their hand?
Yeah, one more, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay. Go ahead, Victor.
Hi, Paul. So,
Yeah.
first time here, really happy to be with you. So the question is, just to have a long story short, I was deeply into mindfulness for a long time, so that was a lot of practice. And I definitely figured out it won't work, as you said. I mean, it was okay. I was more concentrated, more happy, this and that, but no fundamental change, which I was searching for.
Mm.
And then I figured out recently, maybe a few days ago, I'm like in between. So I already know that the conventional ways won't work. So right now I'm searching for other ways. And the way my mind works, it came up with the idea, which probably I know your answer already. What's about this idea? Just to explore the ordinary consciousness, right? So as a practice, let's say, but I wouldn't even call it a practice because it's not like I try to gain something. Like there is already this, maybe not realization because it's a big word, but it's kind of obvious that it's not something new. Like it will not be something new. It's not something that will happen and it will be first time it happened. Like I already know that this ordinary awareness, let's say, let's give it a phrase like this, that's it. Like this is probably the thing. And now my mind came up with the idea just to move attention to this. But probably it's moving attention as a self, as you said. So probably you already answered my question just a few minutes ago. But I also realized that during these sessions, let's say, it's not a session because it's not guided, it's not instructed. I just do it on my own. I just, for example, ask questions. Okay, where is it located? Where is it? Like I take sounds and I just ask, okay, where is the division between the awareness, let's say, and the sound? And I can't find it. So that kind of inquiries that are led by myself. And I wonder if this is also doomed to failure, because I feel probably as a self or as a person that I have little moments of insights because of this, and thanks to this, I believe. And I wonder what's your, of course, like this is still searching for a path, searching for a way to grasp it, a little bit more refined probably. But I was wondering what are your thoughts about this, because I think this resonates with me a lot for now.
There you go. That's my answer.
Okay.
It resonates for you right now, so Yeah. So use it.
Okay,
Yeah. I mean,
that's simple.
you and I, all of us are before whatever happens, yeah? And
Mhm.
in this activity of dreaming, there's a lovely statement in the Course in Miracles where it says, hey, you know, you and I are the dreaming of this dream, yeah? And we're going to dream ourselves out of it. And as we do, the dream will get happier. All right? So, in a lot of ways, how I would interpret or hold everyone's life is in that statement. Yeah? We're all dreaming ourselves out of the dreaming. What it would look like if you were dreaming yourself out of the dreaming. You would be using dreamlike events, yeah? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Or a big mind would be using dreamlike events. So, you and I are using big dreamlike events to dream ourselves out of the dreaming. And maybe when it feels it's resonating, that's a pretty good indication what's happening right now. So there you go, bro.
And at the same time, sometimes it feels like maybe not what's the point, but that this is unnecessary. Like
And
I
it's
can't,
unnecessary. That's the truth. They're both true and they're neither
yeah,
true. Yeah?
because I can't, as you say, like this also sometimes gets very obvious. Like whatever I do, like I can't look at myself. Like this is not possible.
No. Yeah, so,
Like
and then a
how
lot
am
of,
I
a lot of
able to
shit
do
that
it?
we do is to try to look at yourself. One can go on with the understanding of the other. Yeah.
And I see myself trying to grasp anything, like whatever concepts, ideas. Okay, this is it, and then I'm like, okay, this is not it, and then agitation, as you said. And so
Yeah, so you've recognized its mechanical thing. After a while, it may still draw interest for a while, and then it'll become like a TV show in the room where you forgot to turn the TV off. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just
yeah,
going off. It's the total center of its own little world, but in the real situation, it's very minor. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And all the while, seeing what you're not doesn't mean there isn't going to be shit done. You just see you're not the doer of it. It doesn't mean, oh, now it's a whole new not the doing, it's a whole new doing occurs. Maybe not, you know? You just see you're not the doer. Yeah. Yeah. All right, it's nice. Yes. We're going to take off, I think. Everyone get a sense of that? He explained it perfectly. He explained it perfectly. It resonates with him. Far out. Why would you want to throw that away? Yeah. This isn't like it's not like I can't touch the back of a woman between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. There's not like thousands of things you need to should and shouldn't do. Just have a sense of the mechanicalness of implying there's a one before it all. Yeah. Why do you have to be afraid of that one if you're not it? Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm taking off, I think.
Thanks, Victor.
Thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Come back. I'll see you soon. Hey, I want to say goodbye to everybody. This action figure, you know, has been programmed. Most of the talks we ever did were for an hour. I always have to go to the bathroom after about an hour and a half. So I know there isn't a doer of it, but I don't want to see what would happen if I stay here on the couch. So, all right, let me say hello to Sarah. Are you in Greece, Sarah? Oh, very good. And Keith, get a number from Mike, yeah? You can call me up. Not today, until later maybe. Later today, yeah. All right, we got Gisela over there. Nice to see you, Gisela.
Mexico
We-
City.
We got John Walker from Melbourne. John, you're the only one who'll understand this. My klecker hurts. Fair dinkum. Alan, nice to see you. Thank you, Alan, for the donations. Mike, nice to see you. Satish, am I saying your name right, Satish? All right, great. Randy's been the quiet one. Very nice, Randy. Norman, I don't really want to know what you're doing, Norman. I'm just going to keep you as a mystery man. I think it's better for me. Yeah. We got Ben. Ben has returned in the same position. All right. We got John. Nice to see you, John Reed. Jacob. Nice to see you, Jacob. Henrique in Harland. He's taking a nap now. I don't want to disturb him. Glenda O'Driscoll. Nice to see you, my Irish lass. Glenda O'Driscoll. Zoe. Nice to see you, Zoe. Joyce. Pleasure. Mark. Robert. Nice to see you, Rob. Let me see. We got Dennis. I'm near LA, Dennis, right now. We got the Voids. Very nice. They're very lit up today. Tariq, nice to see you. Jack G, thank you for helping them out. Jeremy, Yariv, Chris, Ben. Ben, first, I saw the other day and there was light coming through. Now you got the dark windows. Pretty cool. Richard, nice to see you, Rich. Richard and Etta. I don't know if you're in the car or in the living room. They have the same miles per hour. All right, see you, Richard. We got John K. Nice to see you, John. Mike. We got Juna S. Victor. Mike for this. Thank you, Mike. Joseph C. Judith, as always. Susan. Let's see who else. Let's see. I think we got them, everyone. Oh, no, we have more. We got Gary. Gary's living from out of the corner. Fantastic. John Woodruff. Kevin. Nice to see you, Kevin, over there. Mickey, always. Kerry. Helen. Helen, you're alive. That's good. Rob is he's living in Nelson, one of my old friends. He could tell a story, but we don't have the time for that.
Thanks,
We got
Paul.
Lan.
Love you,
Nice
Mark.
to see you, Lan. Malcolm from Nashville. I thought you were in England, Malcolm. No, you're in Nashville. Wow. Dan, I look at you in a whole new light now. Nashville and Malcolm. All right, we got Kerry. Nice to see you, Kerry. Dan H. Nice to see you. We got Nor, Keith, Nancy, Amelia, Draw, some numbers. Always a pleasure. Thanks, everyone. Hey, tomorrow morning, I don't know if you can get on the Nothing Conference, but we're going to be speaking at 9:15 California time. And if you can't get on, I think they're going to give me the video later. So if you're cheap, just wait until I get the video. All right. All right. See you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mike.
Paul.
Gone.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, quick question. Did my mic come off or what? Because I heard my name all of a sudden and then...
Yeah, it came on. I've seen that happen. Some people's microphones just keep...
I mean, I didn't do it purposely, but I thought I heard my name and then I heard, yeah, Carrie's mic's on. I'm like, I didn't turn it on.
Sometimes they just are like on an infinite, and I have to keep turning them off and off and off. Yours just came on a couple times.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Mike, did you get my chat?
No problem.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm done.
Who?
I don't know. Did you get my chat? I don't know if this is. I think I'm doing this right.
Didn't you get my
You did?
reply? Yeah, I replied that you have the right phone number. Is that what you mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did I look at that?
Yeah. Sometimes if the chat goes on, we lose what any replies beforehand.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Okay, right on.
That's why Malcolm's still here. Sorry, I missed your chat early on.
Is there a good time to call Paul? He said not today, and then he said, well, later today. So.
I heard him say, like, I can't even remember if it was mid-morning or late morning. So try in between mid and late morning if you want a suggestion. But otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it. Just call him and ask him what time you want him to call back.
Call him whenever. All right, right now.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
How'd we do, Mike?
Oh, I think we did good. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
So yeah, except for Malcolm's friend that I booted, because I'm gonna have to remember to put a message in the waiting room that, please have your video on, or let us know why you don't.
Right.
Because, well, I assume they get the chat. As long as they get the chat there, I guess. If they don't know about chat, then we can't avoid it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Have a good one.
Jack.
Is that you, Jack? You going? Okay.
Thanks, Jack.
Bye, buddy.
See you later, man.
Thanks very much.
Thanks again. Bye.
So, Carrie, were you able to hang out for most of it?
For the most part, yeah. I was. That shows you how busy I am at work, right? I'm kind of watching the board on a computer here, like I'm. If I have to get called to the emergency department, but I mean, since COVID, not many people come in if they don't have to,
Oh,
so,
yeah.
it can be kind of a long day, but this was a nice little break. Got to double dip here a little bit, so
Yeah, get paid for the time.
yeah. It was fun to see. I just miss you guys. I like seeing you when I can, man. I know it's not a path, but you got to do something, right? I mean, jeez.
Yeah, if we can just get over the S&M aspect of spirituality, right, that pretends that it's, like what Victor was saying, because that's like a kind of a big deal. It's just like,
yeah. I think I didn't get to hear that part, actually. I had to go. Actually, I did do some work. I just had it in my pocket, and I had everything turned off. I hope it was turned off. But yeah, so I missed that. But I'll have to rewatch this maybe.
yeah, it was a great example of just like, we really are okay. We're in the tiger, so to speak. And then there's just that little gap of selfing, right? And I've heard Paul describe it once before as like pissing on something good. We can't just leave well enough alone.
Right. No,
but it's still basically great, right? Like, where's the division between? That's what he was bringing up. That he wants to accuse himself of practice, calling it a practice, but where's the division between what you're noticing, like a sound, and the awareness?
Oh yeah. That
is it, right? You can't. So, and he likes it, and he's just adding that little element. But is it me trying to get it?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky.
So I noticed that once with, like, I use kind of the word trusting in the same vein. Like, there's trusting actually, or like trusting infinite. The same what that points to. And then I noticed that, like, and I was showing somebody, it's like this, like there's a awareness, trusting awareness, and they're like this close. So like there's that separation gap, right? But then I realized that's what prayer is. There's a relationship between trusting and awareness. That awareness has no qualities, but there's that, whatever you call it, immediately skillful possibility of trusting that feeds back into, allows you to trust awareness, and then you can, I can see why you'd eventually drop even that wording, right?
Right.
But I like it.
I'm just waiting for somebody on the Zoom, like when Paul just kind of gave up and said, that's it, and walked away, like someone on Zoom, like, okay, I can see you guys. I'm never, I'm out, and then that's it.
You let people hang.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually read that as a interpretation of Jesus dying. Like that, hey guys, I'm out of here. Right? Stop relying on this body.
I still want the T-shirt that Paul talks about with a picture of Jesus, and then it says, "I didn't say that."
Oh, I didn't know. I haven't heard that one.
Or maybe he was gonna make one like that. I thought there was one like, "I didn't say that," and it's.
Actually, now it does look familiar. Yeah, that would be perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Fritz, did you
So-
get dropped out?
No, yeah, I was on the Nothing conference thing.
Bye-bye,
Oh, wow.
Jerry. Bye, Karen.
Who were you listening to?
Voice.
Several people, but most recently Nancy Nethercutt.
Haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I hadn't till today either. So
Bye-bye, everybody.
They're just like a bunch of Zoom meetings.
yeah, it starts at like, well, I guess maybe the hosts are in Europe or something because it starts at like 4 a.m. and goes till afternoon our time. So, and it's 2 days worth. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. And of course, Paul will be on tomorrow.
Are you going to do that one?
Yeah, well, I'm on for both days, and yeah, and I spoke with Paul on the phone this morning. So, so yeah.
Yeah, I'll get up for that. It's early for me, but I'll go to that one.
Yeah, well, the other thing is if you miss the sessions and you signed up, you have to sign up like that. But if you sign up, then you can watch them later if it's in a time zone that's just not practical for you. So yeah, so you can watch it pretty much anytime.
Oh, good. Jacob, where's what's the kitten's name? Sage?
Oh, Salge, yeah. Yeah, she's sleeping. Yeah. Hey, was anybody else thinking of punching Judy through that Zoom meeting? Punching Judy just came in really clear to me just before he said it. But what I was thinking was like, we're identified as punch, being annoyed with the world, and like, first he clubs the baby, throws the baby out, then he clubs the wife, throws the wife out, then clubs the police officer, throws the police officer out, right? These are all things that keep coming to smashing up against self, trying to get out of self, like things that it could even be spirituality,
Yeah.
but we don't realize that we're just kind of watching the play.
So like one punch, but a whole bunch of perceived Judys.
Yeah, sure. Sure. In the punch play, usually it's like one character, then another character. Like they all come up similar to like the different police officers in the different uniforms, except it ends with the devil, right? The devil finally comes and clubs the devil and throws him out too.
Yeah.
Except that I don't think that there's got to be something after that even.
Well, the devil's probably a good last stop.
Yeah.
If you can get rid of, if you can, I mean, if that can come up, right? Not as, well, I guess both, right? Because obviously the idea that there's an outer devil is there's a lot more beyond that, right? You've got religious wars because you believe in an outer devil. But if you feel like the devil's in you, that can be, then where's it going to go except to realize it's Punch and Judy, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what,
Goes meta really quick.
Yeah.
The funny thing about it all is that if there was no devil, then we wouldn't need a savior.
Sure.
It's like the savior, poof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the meta is really quite helpful in the sense, like in words, you can't say there's not a need for healing, but of the idea of the need for healing, right? So to deny that, it's like, oh yeah, like what people might try to call spiritual bypassing or whatever, or not even there, right? Or even before that, where you're into materialism or something like that, or blaming other people. So there's obviously a need for healing, within that uninquired realm. And then when you start to suspect it, you can get stuck in like being the doer of the healing, and that's no better, or that's what I call the bottom of the well, right? That's like a bottom in addiction. That's actually a good thing. That's what's been there all along. So, and then that is like, okay, so there's a need of healing, of the idea of healing, of being the doer, and that I find, and that's kind of represent represents infinite, right? A healing, if you have need of healing. It's just not something that you're going to look for out there.
Yeah, I just went through this healing process, and actually I went to the doctors yesterday and they said, oh, you don't need to do any more antibiotics because I just did 10 days of antibiotics when I was told that I had to do maybe 4 to 6 months of antibiotics. So I came home and tightened up my diet, did a bunch of stuff with herbs in preparation for the antibiotics so that they would work better. But all the while that I was doing all this, I was seeing the no need for healing, in that there's no one to heal. And the whole thing just took place as if it was a movie in my very own life with this very own body. It wasn't, and I felt really detached, but I just saw myself going through the ropes anyway and spending hundreds of dollars getting this immune system herbs and going through routine, 24-hour a day routine, and how I was going to manage the whole thing so that I could take control of what was happening with my body and with this bacteria that was very close to tuberculosis, but it wasn't tuberculosis. And so, but it was amazing, the detachment and the scene of how the whole thing was so unreal. Instead of getting sucked in, I got sucked out for some reason.
That's good.
That's great.
Yeah,
it's like Mike was saying, without the neediness.
Right, and I just saw me stirring the proverbial pot without knowing that there was no pot, nothing to stir, nothing to do, but it was all just happening.
On that beautiful note, I'm going to take off.
All right.
Bye, Keith. Good to see you.
Bye, Keith.
I'll see you guys later.
Enjoy your talk with Paul.
Good.
I will. All right. Hey, thanks, Mike, for doing all this.
Yeah. Hey, my pleasure.
Nice to see you guys.
Y'all take care now, you hear? I'll see you later. I'm bugging out too.
You're leaving
Back to,
also?
the Nothing Conference?
Yep, back to nothing.
Okay, so Fritz, is it, how are the other talks? It's wonderful?
Some of them are good, some of them are meh, you know, it's like that. But, you know, it was happening all weekend and it didn't cost that much. And so I decided to do it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Are you going to the everything side more or the nothing side?
It seems to be about 50-50 so far. So I take a quick look, like some of these people I've never heard of. So I'll go on YouTube, search for them, take a quick peek, like, because there's always two on at the same time, right? So you got to kind of pick which one you're going to watch live. So I kind of look at that and see, how does that strike me? Does that feel like it might be interesting? And I'll watch that one. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't.
Do they seem kind of the same, regardless of what side they're on?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think the nothing or everything stage is kind of arbitrary, frankly. Yeah, there's elements of both in what a lot of them are saying.
Are there,
and the everything.
Are there questions and answers, or?
Yeah, so typically they do a talk, And the moderator has some questions, and also there's questions coming in because it's based on Zoom. There's Zoom questions that also come in. So they alternate between the moderator's questions and the Zoom questions.
Right.
So that's kind of how it works. Anyway, it starts again in 2 minutes. So
Okay.
we'll see y'all next time.
See you. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, it seems like that format of having two on at the same time would reinforce the idea that there's really nothing to miss out on. You know,
Right.
Either of them, it's going to be the same as seeing neither of them, maybe.
That's true. That's right. That's actually a nicer. I had them more like wondering if they were trying to set it up as some kind of contest at first.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that makes more sense.
Yeah, let's get all these guys on and debate about nothing.
Paul does a good job of that.
Yeah, celebrity death match between nothing and something, or nothing and everything.
Yeah. That's it.
Jacob, do you live in Seattle proper?
Yeah, well, I was in Seattle for the last 15 years, but I moved south, just south in one of the suburbs about a year ago. I got clean again about a year ago. So I manage a recovery house down in Auburn, which is just South King County.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, clean just a year ago and you're already managing. Oh, you mean like not a rehab, but a.
No, a clean and sober house. Yeah.
Clean and sober house, right.
Yeah.
How long have you been in there? The whole year? No.
Yeah.
Just got clean.
Yep. Yeah. It was a kind of a more an intensive, I guess it's kind of like both rehab and recovery house for 2 months. And then they move you to an outer house, and we had a falling out with one of the managers. So I was put up to be manager.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A lot of drama in recovery. I mean, as you probably know.
You got to replace it with something for a while, right?
Yeah. 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 How about you, Mike? You're in California, I remember.
Yeah, I'm in San Francisco.
San Francisco? Yeah, I love that city, man.
Just south of the Panhandle and just south, but up the hill.
Mm-hmm. Right on.
Oh, and Judith,
And you're in recovery too, I take it? Oh.
Yeah.
Judith?
Yeah, well, I'll finish because recovery has been a huge part of my life, and it's been, and so like I help out with Paul's Tuesday, Thursday things too, you know that, right?
Yep.
So, but because of this, it's obviously not conventional recovery, and yet it's, so I don't know, but I'm fascinated, and it's really the skillful part of recovery being a metaphor for waking up to the addiction of the mental, relying on the mental.
Mm-hmm.
And so wanting to give that back in recovery as opposed to reinforcing the idea that you're in it for the particular problem that's been picked to be addicted to.
Yep.
So I'm really curious how well that can stay within recovery, since it's based with you go into recovery, and it's been reinforced by the recovery movement that you are the identity with that problem.
Right.
I am an addict.
Yeah.
So in one way, I'm totally different. Another way, the metaphor I think is hugely helpful. So.
Yeah. And do you find that like there's kind of a loophole there with saying that Jacob or Mike or Paul is the recovering addict? That's the action figure. That's one of the roles that the action figure plays, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I like the languaging for skillful means by either saying I'm a grateful member of recovery, or consciously using it like addiction had me, as opposed to saying that there's a you that could have it. Those ways to as a way to like present it to other people mostly now, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's gonna be one of my future questions of Paul is just the languaging, and maybe I mean I get the idea, or should I say the idea has me of verbing before the noun. That the noun is what is created by the verbing, or by the identification with the verbing. And yet it's tricky. It's tricky putting that into conversation at times. I guess just catching yourself over and over again is, and it being a organic process would be best.
Yeah.
But yeah,
especially like in recovery where there's like the sharing aspect, right? And so there's a kind of a what do I call it? The responsibility, like to try to word it, you know, and then getting stuck with, well, who's the one trying to do that? So do I not? So like literally being stuck there, like wondering, am I going to raise my hand? You know, like, is the hand going to go up? I mean, I can't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
you know what is so amazing, Michael, is that as much as I really want to stay on target about my life and of course, even saying that, giving you directions on how to come to my house, is not real. And those are actual factual things, and I try to make my whole life to be as actual and factual as it can possibly be according to that pattern, but none of it is.
Right. That's even more factual.
There is nothing happening, and I feel that there's nothing happening. I feel it so solidly, but yet it's all happening.
Yeah.
And it's all coming through, and then words are being made, thoughts are coming and going, and it's just, it's really the movie that is just running. And
that's and that way I refer to trusting is it's a kind of about that, because otherwise the conventional self that thinks you got to get some little, like, how many bananas am I going to get at the store, you know, one day at a time. So do I just get one banana? Like, just trusting first of all doesn't shoot me down for being in my head, right? Like, so, or if I'm nervous, you know, that's, I've already, since there's trusting, and there's the nervousness that gets to be okay. There's a goodness for it having come up, but the trusting means it doesn't have to be managed. It doesn't have to. It's not really there. It's just, you know, passing through, so to speak. And so, like facts, giving somebody directions, like, yeah, I really don't have to, you know, like you're saying, I can just really notice that I can talk without knowing how I know how to talk.
Right, exactly.
So obvious anyway.
It's just happening. It's all happening.
And it's funny because you get to be very, you know, in words, you know, a very narrow band, since you don't have to worry about, you know, so-called facts, which are already starting to get out there. You know, there's like, you can, like, I was feeling nervous energy yesterday, and a habit pattern of like, I just want to rest, I just want to relax. But since it's nervous, you know, it's really not necessarily that skillful to try to rest. And so I, you know, went for a walk, which I've gotten into more of a habit of, just, you know, seeming to think that that's more skillful to take care of the rest. but that doesn't matter. It's just, I can be really narrow, like go back to just feeling like, oh, am I putting my feet on the floor? What do my feet feel like on the floor? You know, just the idea of trusting, or, you know, being very grateful for, you know, for all this going on is, you know, as supportive of, yeah, awareness can be totally here, right? Keep coming, quote unquote, just like recovery, keep coming back to here.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's it. It's like, oh, the action figure came with a script. And,
Yeah.
and
We don't have to worry about the long-term script, right? We can just keep noticing, okay, what's the script right now? What's the
yeah.
or the non-script, I guess you'd say.
It's reeling as we need it.
Oh, that's Nora's phone number. Nora, are you trying to get on by phone?
Howdy.
Hi.
Hi.
I thought you were talking
Hi,
to somebody else.
Jacob and Judith.
Hi, Nora.
Hi. I think somebody else is around too. Keith, maybe.
Keith has been with no video for a long time, so one of those that probably just left it on.
Yeah. Yeah, I have had an old friend call and got a little distracted. Somebody I haven't talked to for a few years, so sorry. But I was half listening to the talk and everybody.
I just can't imagine anybody out there saying more than Paul has said. That's why I didn't sign up for the non-duality.
Nothing conference.
For the conference, the Nothing conference, because Paul just does it for me.
Yeah, I scrolled through the different folks on there. I mean, there's so many of them, and there's, yeah, it seemed like it's all the same message, and I don't know. I also wasn't very compelled to hear the conference. Perhaps I'll listen to some of them if somebody brings them up at some point, but I don't feel the need to seek anybody else out for non-duality.
Me too.
That makes sense.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I love
the dropping of the seeker is very powerful. Very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really is. And again, the recovery model, it's like the only step you need to get perfectly is step one. Like, too much emphasis on thinking you need other steps that are there to maybe make it easier or something like that, but they become a treadmill if there isn't that. It's like Fred Davis's, who introduced me to all this, and I still go to his Sunday satsangs. There's a community there that is kind of mixed. So there's a lot of people, that are kind of like old timers now, and so there's that aspect. But there isn't the emphasis on step one, so there can be a lot of going through that mix. The mix. It's not like once there's, I am this, right, and not referring to the character repeatedly as you, then there can be, just, I don't know, like we're talking about, the herbs and sicknesses or stuff like that come up in life, but not the temptation to go down that rabbit hole as though we're trying to use non-duality to fix that.
Right.
So
no. Yeah.
That's what Paul doesn't let come up much.
Right. I love that about him. I really love that about him, because actually when it comes down to it, non-duality does fix a lot of that stuff, but it doesn't. It's neither here nor it is beautiful. It's just the freedom. Yeah, it's just the freedom. You give everybody else freedom. and it's not happening. It's not happening. So everyone can do their own thing, but whether you want to go, like you just said, down the rabbit hole with them in whatever, you're a choice. It's a beautiful it's a beautiful concept, and then there's nothing outside yourself is another beautiful one, that there's really no one to pray to. Yeah, but you're empowered. Well, not that there's a power, but you know what I mean, for lack of better words. That,
yeah, you're literally not a victim of the world. These are Course in Miracles lessons.
uh-huh.
And like what you're saying, it has one that says, "I loose the world from all the meaning I gave it."
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
to it, because that's that being a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and lose, and the action figure loses quite a bit of power too, and that's the traveling lighter, because it doesn't want to have all that power, I don't think, or it makes other people miserable, other people, and it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, no, the action figure is actually, and it's required to be unconscious. It's the victim of the idea that there could be power, as though there's any thing that's needed that the power would be needed for.
Right.
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 Something just occurred to me, which you mentioned Course in Miracles, and it occurred to share something about how, like, I'll come back to the lessons, and they'll seem totally appropriate no matter if I've skipped a couple days or not. And then the thought came about things like Rumi or specifically the Persian poets, but just how they also instill that feeling of lightness. But then it also, after that, occurred that, man, all that time I was attributing those books or those messages to the feeling that was before the message. Does that make sense? It's like,
absolutely.
So
Totally.
books help
Totally.
to that place, just like Paul helps point to that place, but that place was always there. So we can use those books to point us back if we're I don't know that, but
you couldn't have got it unless it was always there.
Right, that's it. Uh-huh.
Kind of what
Right.
Victor
It's
was
like,
trying to point out.
I think it's like what Paul said. It was always there, but then someone gave me the key. So it was always there with someone saying something. It was a key.
You can be a key, or you can just clean the window,
Right.
then open the window.
Exactly.
And then walk out the window.
I know. That was the weirdest thing is when, for me, when Nisargadatta Maharaj said, it's just like opening the window, open up the window. And I was going like, oh, I couldn't do it. For a long time, I couldn't do it until I realized that, oh, hell, there's not even a window. It's like, oh, yeah, it is so localized, and localized is so infinite. Local is infinite, and infinite is local.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
I got to go for a walk.
Right.
I'm glad I got a chance to at least connect a little.
Yeah.
Bye, Nora.
Bye, Nora.
And yeah, I had something about the dreaming come through this morning. I wanted to check in, but I'll check in with Mike or another group or whatever. I think I got it, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So I'll, pass it through brilliant Mike and see what he says.
Yeah, pass it through Mike.
Yeah, I wish
Mike
I had
is
more
great.
time. I just, it's a busy day today. It's just one of those days.
Oh, all right.
So thank you.
Aloha.
Have a great afternoon or whatever time zone you're in. And I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
How long have you been doing the course?
I would say probably 6 months, little over 6 months. So I'm on like 150, 160, 150 or 160. Yeah. It's been a
That's
couple
right.
days.
You read 139, right? That's right.
Oh yeah.
I've been meaning to get to it to read it, the whole thing myself, since you read it today.
I didn't finish the whole book before I started doing the workbook. I had read maybe like the first 6 or 8 chapters before somebody just recommended that you just dive straight into the workbook, because that's where the, and then use the supplementary text as
Reference.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, it's interesting to me from my perspective as far as it not having a really high success rate, so to speak, with people like not being concerned about whether they're getting it and really trying with the language in the course.
Mm-hmm.
So, but on the other hand, on the other side of it, it's great, right? Like it's like, oh, this is what it's saying, as opposed to before it was, like more not being the one who is described as the ego. Keeps pointing out the ego, and I still do a Zoom now. It's a Zoom meeting with friends that I did it for years, and there's just a lot of that talk about like, oh, well, it's a lot of time spent in the ego, like that kind of thing, as opposed to no, you're the one. This is what is able to describe and see the ego, so you're not in the ego. So there, like recovery, I'll just occasionally point out that we are what's now seeing that there is not actually a one that was an ego.
Yep.
But that doesn't seem to get heard much in the course movement.
And especially like even in that language there is not one that was the ego. The ego, at least it appears multiple. There's so many selves or there's the appearance of so many selves, right? There's a Gurdjieff quote that I really like that's the one who sets the alarm is not the one who wakes up to the alarm clock, right? It's similar to that, like this appearance of selves, like we tend to think it's a one thing, or that our self is one. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
That's the hypnosis.
Maybe
right?
I'm not
That's
explaining it right, but
yeah, that's the hypnosis, the repetition, that's repeating and believing in repetition. So I'm Mike, versus there's a movie character on the screen saying I am Mike, but I don't.
Right.
And yet you have no problem knowing that's not you. So yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that helps me go through things and is just really being grateful for having the junk that I am not enjoying. Whenever I'm in the thicket, I just somehow master the thought of, oh, this is really great. I get to look at this right now. And even though it doesn't feel good and I want to change it, I try not to change it. I'm just try to be there grateful that I'm looking at it and that I'm feeling it. And then it changes by itself. So, and it seems like that is the one thing that is created more of this feeling of change or moving from that circumstance is not trying to change it. It's just being grateful that it is there.
Yeah.
That's
and
beautiful.
Again, the way that could arise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's another thing that drove me crazy in recovery, right? The supposed to's, for some people work unconsciously, like being, gratitude. You're supposed to be grateful. But obviously the one that needs to be grateful was not what was, what didn't realize that's what was getting in the way. So now that this gratitude is arising because, for instance, I don't have to be grateful.
Right.
How grateful can I be? How relieving is that, right? That's the feeling of gratitude that I really enjoy now. Yeah.
Right.
And it might then, whatever's in front of me, like what you're saying, Judith, is like, then it's okay to like be grateful for this tree or whatever, right? Because it's just an aspect of that.
Right.
Instead of me trying to fix myself, you know. And it's not that I didn't have gratitude, but I didn't understand why it didn't work. You know,
Right.
I even knew that I was grateful. You know, like, so why isn't it working for me to not be depressed?
Right. Right. Right.
So it was working in a way, but.
Oh yeah, because trying to get out of depression sometimes is like a lot of self-blame and a lot of pain, and it seems like gratitude or just saying that, just being there, just inviting the thought that I'm grateful seems like it really takes the edge. Or right, or trying to figure out the reason of a wrong that you've done, even a wrong that I've done. Then I just go, okay, well, I'm really grateful that I did that, and I'll go like, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. No, I am grateful because I learned a lot from it. And then it starts to become lighter and lighter and lighter. And then it's like, oh yeah, I didn't even do that. That was not me. And then the thing is gone.
Yeah, especially like the more that becomes a narrow band of time, right? As opposed to having to do that for, that's what recovery is about, right? Like you eventually are grateful for whatever passed because there is, you know, that awakening it contributed to.
Yeah.
So, but to not have to be doing that, you know, more than a few seconds long, and that's even more grateful, right? Like I just dropped that. Just, you know, like I just broke something and I said shit, and I can, you know, within seconds be grateful for the apparent outer arising of there still being a mic that doesn't get it, that, you know, is klutzy and breaks things, and then forgets that he's not supposed to blame the thing he broke and say shit. So within a few seconds, I can be grateful that it comes up to be remembered, to be grateful that it came up to say that wasn't me. You know, none of that is me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think of it as like dancing. That's, you know,
it is like dancing. You're gonna
you don't
step
blame
on someone's
yourself for
toe.
clunkier dancing. Blaming is part of the clunkier dancing. That's a kind of a, you know, seems like a bad long loop, but if it was dancing, then there's only dancing now, right? So I can keep coming back to, you know, arising, not me, nothing.
Yeah.
Grateful.
Yeah. And it's so funny because then grateful just takes you to nothing. That nothing was, nothing is. And you go, oh, okay, that was good.
Yeah, and that's kind of like even biblical with the creation story, and God said it was good.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, you're going to be left in all that, you know, other blame and
exactly. Oh, I was talking to someone yesterday, so because I was talking to my Hanai daughter, and she was saying, oh, I think you should continue on those antibiotics. I don't think that, you know, and she said, remember the story of God sending there was a flood, and God said the person that was in the flood prayed to be saved by God. So God sends the boat, then God sends the helicopter first, and he goes, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. And then the guy dies at the end. Goes like, hey, what happened? And he goes, well, I saved all those people. And so when she texted me all that, I went like, oh my God. You know, in my perspective, why would you waste time asking God for praying to God to save you, because you are God. And then and it was like, and nothing just happened. There's no flood. There is no, and I just laughed at the whole thing. It was like none of that happened. And hey, if you believe there's a God, why not take a quick trip to the Lord? You know?
Yeah, and right,
Go
makes me
Maker.
think how if you said thank you flood, then
Thank
you
you,
would be
flood.
automatically be open to be thanking the next thing that comes up, like the boat.
Yeah,
that
I
comes
can think of them. Exactly. There's so many takeouts from that one that makes this take so minuscule, because it's such a freeing time to just do what you feel like doing. Oh yeah, oh, here's a helicopter. Let me get this helicopter. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for this dance. Yeah, this has been great, and I'm gonna keep coming back.
Right. Sounds great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
have a good one.
Thank you. Well, good to see you. Michael, this is so
Good to see you.
wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
love being with you, Judith.
Yeah, likewise, Michael, very much. Yeah.
Say hi to the.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say hi to the birds and the goats for me.
Oh yeah, I will. I will. Yeah, they're doing good. Yeah. Well, I hope to see you one day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, have a lovely afternoon.
You too.
I'm gonna grab a light to eat. Aloha, Mike.
Aloha.